My name is Cheryl Allen Huff, and I'm with Justice for Now Nashville. For the family, when the media talk with you, make sure you give them your name and your location. And we'll turn it over to the attorney, Joy Kimbrough.
Good afternoon. I'm Joy Kimbrough. I'm representing the Hambrick family. And I will start by reading Ms. Vicki Hambrick's statement. Ms. Hambrick is legally blind, but she is the mother of Daniel Hambrick. For more than 2 months, I have patiently waited for Officer Delke to be charged with the murder of my son, my only child. Yesterday, my prayers were answered. However, I still do not understand why a juvenile crimes task force officer assigned to find stolen cars would chase my son down and execute him. Officer Delke's fate should be decided by a jury of his peers. I'm encouraged by the fact that the state of Tennessee will not give carte blanche power to police officers and allow them to murder and plunder the bodies of black people with impunity and then duck behind the badge and say, I was in fear for my life. It is time we put an end to this. I would like to personally thank General Glenn Funk and his office for putting justice before political expedience.
Yes, yes.
This is a good first step.
Yeah.
Now, the Hambricks are open to any questions you would like to ask, and they will state their name and their relationship to Daniel Hambrick prior to answering your questions.
We were told yesterday that the family was celebrating. Can you elaborate a little bit more? How were you guys celebrating, and how did you all feel?
I don't think anyone was celebrating because this is a journey. And like Ms. Hambrick said, this is the first step. No one was celebrating because her son is deceased. He was killed.
Right.
We were encouraged by the arrest of the officer who clearly killed him on video. We had been a little restless. We didn't understand what was taking so long, but we are happy that he has now been arrested. The family is happy, but no one is celebrating.
No, no.
There were a couple of different decisions yesterday morning before the charges were finally filed. Can you take us through your emotions yesterday morning?
Yesterday morning, I met with Mr. Funk, and I met with him alone, and I knew that he would be arrested. I was in shock to find out initially that it had been deemed that there was not an evidence, in light of the fact that there was a clear video. I was taken aback that a magistrate had decided there was not enough evidence to have Mr. Delke arrested. Once I found out about that, I immediately called Ms. Hambrick. At that time, she did not know that he had been arrested. She did not know that the magistrate denied the warrant. She did not know that at the time. I called and told her. She was very disappointed. She had been on edge for a while because she wanted something to happen. She needed to know what was going on. You know, like I said, or like she said, that is her only son, and she just didn't understand with a clear video what was taking so long. So then once the news came out that Judge Mondeli had indeed found probable cause and deemed that the officer should be arrested, she was relieved.
Mm-hmm.
Victoria, this is likely the first step in what will be a long process here. How are you handling everything, and how is the family handling it?
Now, her name is Vicky. Are you talking Ms. Hambrick?
Yes, Ms. Hambrick.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
It take one day at a time, and it's just by the grace of God and my pastor and Daniel, you know, and my family getting me through this. And if it wasn't for God, I wouldn't be going through it. You know, I don't know what I'd be doing. And Miss Kimbrough. So, you know, and other friends and different ones, and I thank them for everything they doing and for their prayers and calls. And Miss Sheila, I really appreciate her, because if it wasn't for Miss Sheila, and I know what she going through, you know, and she been through it, and, you know, she helping me with this, and I appreciate her.
And that's Sheila Clemens Lee.
Yes.
Each time a story breaks, Daniel's name is on everybody's lips across the town. Everyone's talking about him. Can you tell us what you want us to remember about him?
My son was a great person. He would give the shirt off his back if he had it. And, you know, he wasn't no bad child, because I taught him to be nice to everybody. If, you know, if you're nice to somebody, somebody be nice to you. And he was nice to everybody, you know, and everybody tell me, well, he did this for me, he did that for me. He never did say no. Even the older people say, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, thank you. You know, I appreciate it. Take my trash out. Thank you for sweeping my floor. You know, different things people don't know than you did for other people. You know, and that means a lot to me. And it made me feel good.
What would be justice for you?
What would be justice for me?
You like some conviction, huh?
If he get indicted.
What was going through your mind when you found out that magistrate wouldn't sign that indictment yesterday?
I was just hurt and upset. And I called Miss Kimbrough, and I called my pastor, and my pastor prayed with me and said God would fix it and God would change it, and he did. He worked it out for me. And thank you, Pastor Pastor Draylor.
There's a community oversight board vote on the ballot in November. Where does your family stand on that?
The family 100% stands behind the Community Oversight Board.
Right.
They realize now more than ever that it's absolutely needed. A lot of people don't know until tragedy actually strikes your family. And then they realize the importance of these things. But they absolutely 100% support a Community Oversight Board.
Now, with that being said, obviously, there's accountability for the police department, more so than there's ever been at this point, probably.
Well, I wouldn't agree with that. You said that there's accountability with
That
the
the police need to give more accountability.
Oh, absolutely. I thought you said there is accountability.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, okay. Well, absolutely, I agree with that. We absolutely need accountability with the police department. It's been needed for a long time, and it will continue to be needed. It will not stop here. And I almost say this every time I'm before the media. We're here again, you know, so it's not going to stop. I hope it does stop. I hope someone proves me wrong, but I don't think so.
What's the story behind the Hambrick Strong shirts?
My name's Sam Hambrick. I'm the cousin of Daniel Hambrick. The day that my cousin was murdered, I was sitting in my room, and we got a tight-knit family. Our family's real close, tight-knit. And at the end of the day, we're real strong. So I feel like my being was to raise awareness, because we done seen this happen too many times and too much and too often. So me being a Hambrick and the rest of my family, I feel like this was a way for me to raise awareness around the city, around the world, and then to spread it, thanks to the support of many, 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 many people.
In the past, there have been calls and requests for the police chief to step down. How do y'all feel about that now?
I think 100% he needs to go. He does.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
too much has happened on his watch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You have 18 months ago, of course, Jacquees Clemens was shot and killed. You have Daniel Hambrick, who has now been shot and killed. You have the Gideon's Army report on driving while black that the police chief all but ignored until his feet were held to the fire and he had to respond, and his response was disrespectful. You have that training manual at the academy that promoted profiling, and that went on until I believe 2017. And it's just time. It's time, you know.
Right.
That happens sometimes, but his time has been passed. He should have been gone. But we absolutely, 100%, the entire family believe that the police chief, it's time for his exit.
Amen.
Man, yeah.
Now, I would like to give a special thanks out for Mr. Glenn Funk.
Yeah.
I think he did a magnificent job. I think all this wouldn't be possible without Mr. Glenn Funk and Judge Mondelli signing on. And I think it's just a real proud day for the Hambrick family. That being said, this is just the tip of the iceberg, you know? It's just the tip of the iceberg. We still have a long ways to go, but with prayer and everything, we'll get through it all. And it's going to be a one-day time, but we will get through it. And we'd just like to thank everybody and people that has worked tirelessly helping us out. Miss Clemens' family, she has worked tirelessly. Black Lives Matter, the Oversight Board, the NAACP,
Black Lives Matter.
my sister lawyer, Ms. Kimbrough, our pastor, Reverend Travis, and all the people in the community.
And just one thing that we want to clarify to the community. My name is Samika, and my name is Samika Hambrick, and I'm Vicky's niece. One of the things that we just want to clarify most too, everybody's concerned about Officer Delke's bond and the price of the bond. No amount of bond matters to us what his bond really was. The bond is not important at this time.
Right.
The biggest thing that we got was him being charged,
Right,
and that
right.
was bigger than any amount of money.
Right,
I didn't
right.
care if his bond was $5 or $10. The amount of money does not matter at this time. We got something that hasn't happened in the community, never.
Right.
And that was for justice to be acknowledged and somebody to step up and say
Right.
that this man was wrong and that what he did, we see it and we acknowledge it and we're going to take the first step. That was bigger than any bond. So
Right.
we just want the community to know that and let that be clear that the bond is not a matter to us. We don't care what Officer Delke's punishment is at this time. We just want justice so that this won't continue to happen to someone else in the community at a later time.
Correct.
That's all.
And we do want a conviction. That's the main thing. We want a conviction.
And let me just say this. I know that we have thanked several people, and I always think I'm going to miss someone. But I just want you to know that many people,
Yes. Yeah.
black, white, Hispanic,
Right.
have
Yeah.
expressed that they're disheartened by what occurred and have expressed their support across the board. So I just want to say that there have been a lot of people, a lot of groups. There have been fraternities, the Black Police Officers Association. There have just been a lot. So I don't want to try to name them all.
Right, right.
We named a few, but there have been a lot of people, and we are most appreciative. We need that encouragement in order to keep going, to keep fighting.
Right.
And to back up what my father said, the guy said something about a celebration. It is far from a celebration.
Right.
If anything, it's a big sigh of relief right now.
Right. Right.
But it's just the beginning, and it's gonna be a long journey. And we're gonna keep fighting. This is a start. This is a stepping stone right here, and we still need the community. We still need
Yeah.
people. We still need you all to bring light on this situation, and we're
Right.
gonna keep bringing it all the way to the door. We ain't gonna give up.
That's right. That's right.
And you said that this is a proud day for you and that you're glad that the charges were filed, but obviously as a family you're still grieving. How do you explain to someone who hasn't been through this what this is like for you?
There's no words to really explain, because at the end of the day, you will I'm sorry, my name is Dominique Appleton. I'm Daniel Hambrick's first cousin as well, and at the end of the day, you would never think, I don't think any of us would have ever thought that we would be standing here today for this.
Right.
You know, we are grateful for the first step, but it's still hard. We still have our moments, and that's when we come together as a family and stay strong. So, you know, like Vic said, it's just one day at a time.
Yeah.
One day at a time.
What happens now? What happens next?
Keep fighting, baby.
Well, we have to wait. You know, it's a process. Officer Delke has been charged. He will have a court date, I believe it's at the end of October. That's his first court date. Generally, the first court date, nothing happens. They give you another court date to come back. So we don't expect any type of hearing on that day. Generally, that's what happens. I know this is a different type situation. But then after that, if the judge find that there was probable cause to arrest him, they will bind that case over to the grand jury. The grand jury would take a look at it again to also consider whether or not there was probable cause. And if they do, it will be assigned to a criminal court judge, one of the 6, based on the arrest date of Officer Delke. He would then go forward, and it's a process. He would then go forward and either plea out or stand trial. It'll be one or the other. And if he decides to have a jury trial, it'll be up to the jury to determine his fate, a jury of his peers.
I have a question. Excellent Lawson, WFSK Radio. Is there anything you all would like to say in terms of, I do believe it was either the Fraternal Order of Police or members of someone who represents the officer that stated they wanted to err on the side of caution, but yet tried to put forth damaging information about Ms. Hambrick's son in terms of maybe his record or things of that nature. Is there anything you would like to say in terms of being proactive to having him portrayed as someone that he is not, and the attempts that they may come to try to smear his character?
Okay, well, they've done a lot initially, and that's just straight from the police playbook. That's what they do.
Right.
They put the victim on trial when they are in fact responsible. But they drug his name through the mud. I mean, I don't know what more they can do, but that's what happens. Someone asked earlier about this process or about how they're handling it. They are confused. They don't understand, because normally this isn't what happens when you see somebody on video executing someone. You don't wait 2 months. They don't go and magistrates say, I bet this has never happened. A magistrate say there's not probable cause for a murder.
Right.
I don't think that happens. And then, you know, you go back, and I know and I understand what she's saying about the $25,000 bond, but a lot of people do have concerns outside of the family. There was a post on Facebook where they showed someone for driving unsuspended received a $25,000 bond. So it's just, they're thrown out here into this situation, this position, and they have questions they don't understand. They don't understand the system now. You understand it when it's your family on the other side. You know, the defendant, oh, it goes swiftly, you know, justice is carried out. But I think when it's a police officer in question or law enforcement, security, whatever, they're given every benefit of the doubt. Every benefit of the doubt.
And then it does not matter what his background is. It does not matter, like we continue to say. It doesn't matter. He was killed. They did not know what type of man he was.
Right.
They did not know.
Until they killed him.
They just assumed, like I continue to say, assumed that he was just this terrible person. Assumed it. And then based off an assumption, they did this to him, something that he did not deserve at all. So his character doesn't matter. People continue to ask, you know, what about his record? What about it? Did Officer Delke know his record when he killed him?
Nope.
I don't think he did.
He didn't.
So, you know, it does not matter at all.
I want to say one more thing. My mother and my grandmother raised me and my sister and brother in this church. I raised my son in this church. He growed up in this church, working in this church. He wasn't no bad person, none whatsoever. He did the sound system. He helped the pastor. He did whatever the pastor asked him to do, or whatever the older people asked him to do. He did it for him. Helped him get in the car and everything. My son was no bad person. He was in football, basketball, you know, he did all kinds of sports. So, you know, my child wasn't none like.
They were trained him to be. Yeah, it's all right. It's okay.
I thank you for that.
Okay.
The reason why I asked that question, and I just wanted to, you know, since all of the news media are here, that when attempts go out to try to smear his name, that the media does due diligence to make sure that what they're reporting is accurate and correct. And so that's why I asked that question, so that when the story is told, that the right story is told, and that stories are not posted that have not been vetted, and have not, and no one has, and someone at least consorts with you all, the family, before they do something like that.
But, and we absolutely, there's something we'd like them to look into. We know initially when this was reported, the TBI spokesperson reported that Daniel had exited a vehicle. The officer saw him with a gun in his hand, and a pursuit began. We now know that's true. We now know there was never any stop. There was never a stop. Also, I think it was the September 16th issue of the Tennessean. In there, they quoted the chief of Anderson, is that his name? Chief Anderson, as saying that Officer Delke said that Daniel pointed a gun at him. I'd like someone to follow up on that. And no mention of that in the arrest warrant, the inconsistent statements, his initial version of what occurred, and then his most recent, the final version, after all the evidence is out. And then he can go back and construct his version of what occurred. I just think that's interesting.
I mean,
that we just kind of overlooked that he flat out lied in the beginning.
The whole thing of the matter is, was Daniel ever a perfect child? No one ever said that. Nobody said that Daniel hadn't had a record. Nobody said what Daniel's past was like. None of this has anything to do with Daniel's record or how he grew up or his record. All this has to do with somebody making a mistake, pulling somebody over that was innocent and made the wrong decision and took somebody's life. That had anything to do with Daniel's situation or his lifestyle or how he lived again. But like we said, we just want justice served for Mr. Delke's irresponsible decision that he made, basically.
Are there any other questions? We thank you.